I say welcome you all to the another episode of the Giants Market. Thank you for tuning in. It's another legendary episode. We are here to inform each other, and we are here to change your thinking on how you see these things of the stock markets. So, thank you for tuning in. Today, as we go to the business, there are so many things I want to talk about, but I want to lay a foundation of a very important thing that is important for everyone to know as long as you're an investor. So we'll talk about the sectors that are in the financial markets. But before we get there, we will start like we always do, whereby we talk about the fundamentals that happens in the markets, whether it's the forex market or the stock or the stock markets. So what you have to know is that the markets are driven by two things: the fundamentals or the technical sides. So when we're talking about the fundamentals, we're talking about the news, but when we are talking about the technicals, we're talking about the chart on itself, on trying to make you understand how to read the chart. So anyone who's coming into this game, the game of forex or the game of doing stock exchange, it's important for you as an individual to start by understanding the technical side. So as we'll be also doing the fundamentals and the technicals. So right now, I want us to start by talking about the evening star candlestick. So we always talk about the candlesticks because the candlesticks are very important. They give us a direction of where the market is going, and it's one of the most important attributes that people love to use, because others can use the line graph, but there is the candlesticks, and the candlesticks are very important. So on our previous episode, we talked about the morning star candlestick. So today we want to talk about the evening star candlestick. So the evening star candlestick is one of the most important candlesticks because it appears a lot in the markets. So a lot of people, they like using the evening star. So I'll run around and explain to you and give you a rough idea. So even you can also go and Google and research more about it, so you get a lot of information about it. So the evening star is a 3 candlestick pattern that signals a reversal in the market and is commonly used in the forex market or even in the stock market, whether it's the derivatives, whether it's the bonds, or what in anything you'll find it can appear in any of those charts. So here are the characteristics of the evening star, because it's the other thing that you should never forget about the evening star is that it is the opposite of the morning star. As you know that as long as the morning, there is the evening. So it's just the opposite of something that is happening in the market. So the first candlestick is a bullish candlestick, because remember the evening star, it's comprised of 3 candlesticks. So, and the second candlestick is a small candlestick, and it can be bullish or bearish, or it can be a doji or any other candlestick. So it's one of those small candlesticks that appear after a first bullish candlestick has appeared. Then the third candlestick is a large bearish candlestick. So these are the 3 critical candlesticks that always appear when the evening star is appearing. So the pattern appears at the top of an uptrend. It signals that there is an upward momentum. An upward momentum was happening. So right now there is a certain change that is about to happen. So when that change is about to happen, which means you have to know that a certain momentum is about to be introduced, whereby that momentum that was telling us that it's a buy trend at the moment now is being changed and is being redirected to become a seller's market at the moment. So to identify the evening star on forex chart, it involves more than simply identifying these three candlesticks. We have to go even and look at the previous candlesticks, because the previous candlesticks, they tell you about the momentum, they tell you what is actually happening in the market. So as these candlesticks, they will give you a direction, so it makes you to have a proper understanding of what is actually happening or what was actually happening, so that you'll know that is it the right time for you to judge and say now the markets are going down, or what is actually happening. So these candlesticks, they give you that direction. And even the previous candlesticks, they also give you that direction of making you know that now this is what is actually happening. So the market should be established by higher highs and higher lows. So as everyone knows that the market is not a straight line thing that happens, whereby if the buyers are in the market, you see the candles going up. So the market will always give you that direction of saying we go using higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs or lower lows, because that's how the market goes. So that's why we're saying you should go back to the previous candlestick, so that they give you a direction, or even the last 10 previous candlestick, whether it's a 1 day or whether it's a 1 week or it's the minutes world. So they will give you a proper direction of what is actually happening. So this evening candlestick, it's one of the most important candlesticks, because it's good for price action. It's one of those candlesticks that give you a direction of where the trend is going, what's happening with the price action at the present moment. So I'd like you all to go and check it out and go deep about the evening star, and you will see a lot of evening stars, especially in the hour world. So that's it for this slide. So we'll go to another slide where right now we're talking about the economy of Ethiopia. So the economy of Ethiopia is one of those countries located in the northern east side of Africa. So as you always know that we always come up with this, we've came up with this concept of talking about the economies of countries. We started by the countries of Africa, so that people can have an understanding of what is actually happening in the world, with the opportunities that come. So the more we start with these countries, we'll go into the businesses that are big in those countries, so that we find opportunities of us to be able to invest in those countries. So the president of Ethiopia is Sahle Zewde. It's something like that. I don't know the pronunciation, but it's something like that. She is the only woman president in the African continent out of the 54 presidents that we have. So when I say out of the 54 presidents, obviously we mean that there are 54 countries in Africa. So she's the only privileged woman to be found under such a board meeting of male-dominated president. She was anonymously elected president by the National Assembly in 2018. So there was no votes that happened. So she was elected at parliament. Then she became the president. And she will be president until 2024, when elections will take place. So she's a politician, just like other presidents can become businessmen. Other presidents are businessmen, but this one, she's a politician. So she's one president that came into the office because of being politically driven. So Ethiopia relies mostly on agriculture, on industry and services in their economy. So as you know that every African country relies a lot on agriculture. So Ethiopia also relies, that's how they grow their GDP. And Ethiopia is the second largest populated country in the continent of Africa. It is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, and the GDP per growth is 6.5%, and their GDP is over 100 billion. So they have a very good GDP, which are the gross domestic products, and it's over 100 billion. For over 100 billion, which means it's a good country, especially when you are located in Africa. So it is expected the economy to grow by 5.7% in 2023. And there are too many policies in the country, and it's not easy to invest in Ethiopia like South Africa. Like when you compare it to other different countries, Ethiopia is not easy to invest in. The problem faced by the country, especially when it comes to the economic side, is high interest rates, there's inflation, there's instability, and there's this scarcity of foreign exchange. So, which creates financial crisis to the foreign reserve. So because of the issues that we are seeing that are happening in every country where inflation is going up, these things, when it comes to the exchange rate with other countries, it becomes more expensive to those countries. So to do business with other countries, it will be very difficult for those countries. So they use the Ethiopian birr as their currency. So when we were comparing $1 of $1 is equal to 54.46 birr. So it's not very bad, and it's one of those growing economies in Africa, and it's one of those beautiful countries that we have. So in Ethiopia, it has a lot of history, and it's known all over the world, and it's loved by a lot of people. So we've come to the segment of the economies of Ethiopia. So right now we'll go to the segment where we now talk about the news. So on the news of the day, you are going to start with what was happening in the market. So the South African stock market index, which is the South African 40 companies, traded at 72,345. This was on Friday, when the market closed on Friday, a decrease of minus 1.28%. So over the last 4 weeks, I need to give you a direction of what has been happening. Over the last 4 weeks, the price lost 3.71%, and over the last 12 months, the price rose by 10.64%. So this is what is actually happening with the South African index, because this is where you find all the 40 big companies in South Africa. They are being traded in one place. So if you can buy that, if you can invest your money in that share, which means you are guaranteed to be investing in so many different aspects, whereby when one company falls down, you know that there is a backup of other companies that can back you up. So there are high chances of you making money. So on that day, the biggest losers were Anglo America, which lost 5.55%. There was Kumba Iron Ore, which lost 8.28%. Sasol also lost 4.20%. Impala Platinum lost 3.08%. So these were the biggest losers on that day. Then we have to look also in the New York Stock Exchange market, whereby the Dow Jones closed at 33,881.4, which was a 0.07% gain. The S&P 500 gained also 4,132.72. Nasdaq gained 13,000, which was a 0.11 gain. Gold was the one with the heaviest fall on that day, because it lost 1.10%, which was traded at 1,982.37. So this is what actually happened, because a lot of people like to trade in the Dow Jones, they will like to trade in the S&P 500, they like to trade the Nasdaq, and they like to trade gold. So as I was talking about these companies and what is happening with the South African top 40 and the Dow Jones, it's a combination of companies. So these are indices whereby they combine a lot of companies, they put them together. So today I want to talk about this special segment whereby people have to understand why do these companies put the indexes in one place. So we'll start a new phase whereby we educate people of the sectors that happen in the market, because when you talk about the 40 South African 40 or the S&P 500, where there are 500 companies, those companies, for you as an investor, you have to be in a position to be able to divide them and put them in sectors. So when you put them in sectors, so that you know that this sector is these companies and this sector is this company, so that you compare and contract, for you to be able to know that this is the competitor of this company, and this company, they because they are in this sector, I have to be in a proper position to understand which company is making more money or which company is not making more money in that sector, before even going inside the whole 500 companies or the whole 40 companies. So today I want us to break down the market sector. So the market sector, it's a retail broker, custodian, research analysis, came with a method of being able to identify and analyze companies using a common global standard. So actually there are 11 sectors in the market. There are 24 industrial groups. There are 69 industries, and there are 158 sub-industries. So today the only thing that we want to talk about is the 11 market sectors. So when anyone is into stock markets, when you're an investor, you need to understand these 11 sectors. That's the only thing we will talk about. We'll come to the 24 industry group and these other as we go by. But today we want to focus on the 11 market sectors. So this was all for them to easily classify companies in a certain group. So let's talk about the market sector. So as an investor, you need to understand the sector so that you can easily group companies and compare and contrast them with their competitors. So there are 11 sectors. So the first sector that we are going to talk about is called the communication service sector. So the communication service sector includes the telecommunication service, diversified and wireless, and media, entertainment, and interactive media and services. So we're talking about the companies like e.g. AT&T, Zoom Info, MTN Group, Vodacom, and Telecom. So this is what the communication service sector includes. So it deals with the telecommunication services companies and media and entertainment and interactive media and services, so e.g. NTNT, Zoom Info, MTN Group, Vodacom, and Telcom. So these companies, if you see them in the stock market, whether it's the South African 40 or is the Nasdaq or S&P 500, that's where you will start to group them and say, oh, when we're talking about these ones, these are the communication services companies. Then you start grouping them. Then you start to see and to understand how these companies work in everything. So the second sector that I want to talk about is the consumer discretion sector. So the consumer discretion sector compromises businesses that sell non-essential products, services that consumers may avoid without any major consequences to their well-being. These are often considered heavy or optional purchases. Examples of these companies include retailers, automakers, restaurants, and entertainment companies. So e.g. like McDonald's, like Amazon, ShopRite Holdings, Woolworths. So the consumer discretion sector it compromises of those non-essential products and services that consumers may avoid without any major consequences. So it's not that these things we want them every day, but we also want them every day, but we can live without them, like the McDonald's, like Amazon. We can live with those things, but they are also important because you may want them along the way, or you may need them along the way in your life. So the third sector that we're now going to talk about is called the consumer staples sector. So the consumer staples sector are the basic goods that people buy to support their everyday lives. Companies in the industry manufacture, distribute, and sell products like food, beverages, and personal hygiene products, and which are less sensitive to the economic cycle. So these companies include like Coca-Cola, like Colgate, Palmolive, and Unilever. Then the fourth one that I want to talk about is called the energy sector. Energy sector is a category of companies that play a role in extracting, refining, and supplying consumable fuels such as coal, oil, and gas. So e.g. Eskom, these companies which do these energies, which are under the energy sector, like Eskom, there's Sasol, there is Exxon, there is ExxonMobil, etc. There are so many companies that you can find in this sector. Then the other sector that we have, which is the fifth sector, is the financial sector. It is a section of the economy made up of firms and institutions that provides financial service to commercials and retail customers. This sector comprises of a broad range of industries, including banks, investments companies, insurance, and real estate firms, e.g. Standard Bank, JP Morgan, etc. There are so many companies that we can talk about that are under the financial sector. So the sixth sector is the healthcare sector. It consists of businesses that provide medical services, manufacture medical equipment, like drugs, and provides medical insurance or otherwise facilitate the provision of healthcare to patients. So these companies each include United Health Group, Healthcare, Aspen Pharmacy Holdings, etc. There are so many companies that fall under that sector. Then the other sector, the seventh sector that I want to talk about, it's called the industrial sector. This sector are companies that mainly produce capital goods used in manufacturing, resources, extraction, and construction businesses in the industrial goods sector make and sell machinery, equipment, and suppliers that are used to provide other goods rather than sold directly to the customer. So e.g. these companies, they include the Big Group, Caterpillar, there is the Boeing company. So these are the companies that are under this sector also. Then we have on the eighth sector, we have the information technology sector. So companies that provide software, hardware, semiconductor equipment, and companies that provide internet and related services. So the companies, they each you are talking about like Microsoft, like the Samsung. So for us even to use what we're doing now, we to use the internet. So these are the information technology companies that gives us the phones, that give us the laptops, that gives us the internet. So you have to group them under a certain sector so that you may understand their competitors. So on the ninth, we have the material sector. It is an industry category made up of business engaging in the discovery, development, and processing of raw materials. The sector includes companies engaging in mixing and refining chemical production and forest products, e.g. Rio Tinto, e.g. Anglo America. So these are the companies that deal with the material sectors. So then we have the real estate sector. It is a form of property sector. Here we're dealing with the property sector. So there are companies that are under the real estate sector. Then we have on the last one, but not the least one, which is the utilities sector. So this consists of companies that provide electricity, actual gas, water, sewage, and essential services that play a vital role in the economic and social development. So what we have to know about these sectors is that as much as there are companies that enter into the utilities, you will find other companies also in the consumer discretion, they will be there. But there is a small difference because the utilities are the things that people want. They are the things also that people will use in their everyday lives. But when you come to the energy sector also, you can even find the same company, but you will not find other companies. So they have to differentiate them, these companies, because others will be doing the same thing that can be found in a different sector, but not all of them can be found in those sectors. So that's why we want you to understand the definitions of the sectors, so that when you go into the South African 40 companies, you start to put those companies based on these 11 sectors, whether it's what these sectors, they work in all the world. They work in any country in this world. Every country in the world has divided its companies into 4 sectors. So don't get worried about thinking maybe after knowing this you will only do it in South Africa and America. No, you can do it all over the world. So that's the greatest advantage about being into the stocks or doing the forex markets, because anywhere in the world you can even still do this business. Then on the other news is that the banking big jumps in profits for Capitec. So the Capitec Group, one of the big companies in South Africa, the banking group Capitec has recorded a significant jump in headline earnings for the year ended 2023. The earnings were up 15% to 9.7 billion from 8.4 billion the year before. Earnings per share also grow for the shareholders. From the group declared a final dividend also of 2.8 cents, taking the total dividends for the year to 4.2 cents, also up by 50%. So these companies, they are making a lot of money, especially the banks, after the interest rate went up. So they are taking advantage of the interest rates, and a lot of people are paying more than what they expected. So it is expected when the earnings come out, these companies, they will make a lot of money. Remember, commodity prices go up based on the inflation in that country. At the moment, there is high inflation and prices go up for everything, which is good for business. So when prices go up, it's good for business, for these companies. They will make profits, especially when things go down back to normal. They would have created a lot of profit for their companies. So that's it for the news for the day. So right now I want to talk about learning the dialect. So this segment of the learning the dialect is one of the very important segments, because as a giant, we want to create a community of giants where people are giants in the markets. They are known for understanding the markets and for printing money. Because the point here is to print money so that we may be known in the markets as people who print money. So today I want to talk about the word gross profit margin. So here's the definition of gross profit margin. A metric analyst use to assess a company's financial health by calculating the amount of money left over from product sales after subtracting the cost of goods sold. So this is the gross profit margin. So let me explain to you the gross profit margin. Let's say you are creating a paper. So when you are creating a paper, there's a certain budget that is allocated for the paper. Then let's say you've created a certain budget for the paper. Then there is the cost of doing that paper. So when the paper is finished, there's a certain amount that it costs for the company to create that paper. So we say revenue, which is the revenue. So when you are calculating the cost of goods, so you say sales revenue of the company less cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold, which means it's the paper, the amount that it took for you to create that paper. When you separate that one, you go to the point of coming out with the gross profit. But the gross profit margin, it comes in a percentage. So you'll have to go again and take the gross profit and you say revenue and subtract the gross profit that you had found, then you divide it by the revenue, the money that was already in the company when everything was starting. So you say the revenue of the company, you subtract from the gross profit, then you divide from the revenue. Then the percentage that comes out is what we call cost of goods sold. So it's very important because it gives you an idea of it. When the percentage is more, it shows you that the company is able to sustain a lot of things. So it's one of the very important things that an investor should have knowledge about. So that's it for the gross profit margin, and that's it for the learning the lingo. So right now I want to talk about the word of the day. So on the word of the day, this is what I want. As a giant, I want you to be motivated. You need some motivation for you so that you may be able to do it. For without motivation, we cannot reach far. So we need motivation even as much as we need it every day. So the word of the day is, he who does not read is not better than the one who cannot read. There is a serious difference in this statement that I need you to see, that he who does not read is not better than he who cannot read. So the only thing that can drive us to reach a certain level with the market is for us to be able to read, is for us to be able to research. But if you are not a reader, if you are not a reader, you are the same person who cannot see. You and the person who can't see are in the same league. You are just one and the same people, because that person cannot do it, and you can see but you can't do it. So there's no point in you comparing yourself and saying you're better, which means no one is better between the two of you. Both of you are just in the same league. So right now I want to motivate you that we should improve our learning skill and put ourselves in a better position for us to understand the markets. So that's it for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like, and let's comment, and let's talk about what we have to understand more so that we may know.